The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. The proclamation of winning party list groups has been met with some delays. Greg Gregorio is reporting to us live from the PICC in Pasay to give us an update on that. Hi Greg, do we have a final schedule now? When will the winning party list groups be announced?
Sean, what we have right now is still a target of the Commission on Elections to proclaim the winning party list groups on May 25 or 26. Acting spokesperson Rex Laujanco said this still depends on the transmission of the certificate of canvass from Lanao del Sur, having more than 600,000 votes. Laujanco said that if we are to base on the latest canvass report from the NBOC, or the canvass report number 7, excluding the number of votes from Lanao, we only have 6 party list groups who can be considered as those, or which can be considered as those who already have guaranteed seats. Thus, we still have to wait for the certificates of canvass from Lanao del Sur to factor in all those votes and possibly increase the number of party list groups who may be given seats in the Congress. Apart from that, Laujanco also said that even after the transmission of the COC from Lanao, and then they will find out, or they will assess that we still need the 1,991 votes from Shanghai, then a partial proclamation of the party list groups, or the winning party list groups, is also possible next week. Sean?
All right, do we have any idea who these 6 sure, so to speak, or so-called sure party list groups are, Greg?
Yes, Sean, if we are going to, based on the canvass report number 7, including 50 or counting 55.5 million votes, the 6 party list groups who now have at least 2% from the total number of votes for the party list groups. These are ACT-CIS, One Rider Party List, Tingog, 4Ps, Ako, Bicol, and Sagip. Sean?
All right, so still a lot of moving parts with party list proclamations. Moving on now to another topic, Greg. Have candidates started submitting their statements of contributions and expenditures, or SOSEs? And when is the deadline for this?
Sean, the COMELEC, or we don't have information yet as to who has already filed their SOSE, but acting spokesperson Rex Laujanco reminds every candidate, whether those who pushed through or withdrawn their candidacy, or those who won or lost in the recent polls, all of them must submit their statements of contributions and expenditures until June 8. Sean?
All right, so a June 8 deadline. If that is not met, Greg, will there be sanctions for the candidates who fail to submit their statements of expenditures, and what will the penalties be?
Yes, Sean, there are a number of sanctions. First, among the things that the COMELEC will be looking into the SOSE of each candidate is that if a certain candidate spent an amount which is well within the spending limit of the Commission on Elections, because if not, they will be facing an election offense, which would include imprisonment. And if a certain candidate who also ran in 2019 or in the previous elections, who also failed to submit COC, then would be failing to file SOSE again this time, then that particular candidate would be facing a possibility of perpetual disqualification from holding public office. And if a certain candidate who might have won in the recent polls but failed to file a SOSE, he or she will not be able to assume office. Sean?
All right. Of course, Greg, no election is complete without allegations of vote buying. Speaking of vote buying, how many vote buying incidents has the COMELEC been able to verify?
Now, Sean, according to acting spokesperson Rex Laujanco, the COMELEC Law Department has already identified 12 verified vote buying reports that will now be subjected to preliminary proceedings. Apart from that, there are already more than 40 vote buying reports received by the Task Force Contra Bigay, which will be addressed by the Commission. Apart from all of these, they are now also addressing the viral videos of alleged vote buying incidents across the country in the recent polls. Sean?
All right, Greg, one last question. What is the penalty if indeed they are proven or caught vote buying with evidence?
Sean, according to the Commission on Elections, vote buying is both an election offense and would entail criminal violation. Then, if one would be proven to have violated, or if one would be proven to have committed vote buying, he or she might be facing disqualification. And then, considering the criminal liability, one might face imprisonment. Sean?
All right, thank you so much for answering all our questions today. That was Greg Gregorio reporting to us live from the PICC in Pasay. Thank you, Greg. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court has ordered the COMELEC, Bongbong Marcos, and both chambers of Congress to comment on the petition seeking to cancel Marcos Jr.'s candidacy. The SC is giving the respondents 15 days to file their comments. On Tuesday, civic leaders asked the High Court to suspend the canvassing of votes that is a prerequisite to the proclamation of Marcos Jr. as president. Both houses of Congress will convene next week to canvass votes for the country's two highest positions. And Senate President Tito Sotto weighs in on the attributes that he thinks his successor should possess. Speaking to One Balita Pilipinas, Sotto said that the next Senate president should be independent-minded and should have already mastered the rules of the upper chamber. He added that Senators Mig Zubiri and Senator-elect Cheese Escudero have both consulted with him about the Senate leadership for the incoming 19th Congress.
In terms of qualities, marami. Marami pwede. Pwede si Coco Pimentel. He has all that. Mig Zubiri has all that. Cheese Escudero has all that. Alan Cayetano has all that. Yan ang mga mababanggit ko. Yung iba, hindi ko sigurado.
One News Now will be back with more stories after this quick break. Keep it here. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. Almost half of all Filipino households consider themselves poor based on a recent SWS survey. However, the situation could worsen as the Agriculture Department warns of a looming food crisis this year. Shaila Francisco with the story.
Limited stock of food and less consumption in electricity. These are the things that single mom Sarah has to keep in mind to maximize their budget. With 2 kids, Sarah tries to squeeze 10,000 pesos per month for her budget along with her income from side jobs. However, Sarah said that 500 pesos a day is not enough with the rising prices in basic commodities.
Isi-set aside mo yung yung pangangailangan ninyo, yung kunwari may gusto ka, hindi na muna.
Just like Sarah, more Filipinos still consider themselves poor. In an SWS survey, the number of self-rated poor families rose to 10.9 million as of April this year. The survey also shows that the minimum monthly budget families need to not consider themselves poor went up from 12,000 pesos to 15,000 pesos. The SWS notes that poor families are now lowering their living standards to cope. But the problem doesn't stop there.
The Agriculture Department warns of a looming food crisis by the second semester of this year. If this happens, the country could face supply tightness or shortages, which could lead to higher prices of commodities.
This is driven by higher fuel prices, the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, and the ongoing tensions between Ukraine and Russia. Fertilizers and feed prices are already going up in the global market.
Nakikita na ninyo yung pagtaas ng presyo ng mga inputs. So, kukunti ang mabili sa global market. And so, advance dapat ang planning din. And that's why tayo ay nagwa-warning at gumagawa din ng paraan para makapaghanda.
However, DAR said that they are ready to handle the problem as the country still has enough food supply. They are also boosting the current food stockpile. Aside from this, the DA is asking for an additional 24 billion peso budget to help in their interventions like providing fertilizer subsidies. They are also hoping the National Food Authority will be given additional budget to increase their buffer stock of rice to 30 days from the current 7 days. For its part, agricultural groups are asking the incoming administration to focus on local production.
Makita mo naman yung import-oriented, hindi naman bumaba yung presyo ng bigas natin, pork natin, ang chicken natin, hindi rin bumaba. Hindi talaga dahil dun sa importation, bababa yung presyo.
But one group is blaming Agriculture Secretary William Dar for the food crisis.
Siya may kagagawan yan. Ito nangyayari ito dahil pinaliit niya. So yan ang karanasan namin, Ted, sa kanyang panunungkulan sa DA na kulang ang suporta sa local agriculture at ang naging priority importation.
Think tank Ibon Foundation believes that increasing wages can help the public to deal with the looming crisis.
May dalawang bahaging food crisis Una yung pagtaas ng presyo ng pagkain at yung kakulangan ng pambili na hindi sumapat yung pagtaas ng minimum wage sa pagtaas ng presyo ng bilihin. So yes, tingin namin sobrang halaga na taasan pa actually yung minimum wage.
However, the Labor Department has reservations on the proposal.
Kailangan din natin tignan yung capacity of employers to pay. Hindi po ang gobyerno ang nagbibigay ng aumento. At yun po magbibigay ng aumento ay na mga enterprises, lalong-lalo na po yung mga micro-entrepreneurs. Sila ho ay pinadapa rin po ng pandemya.
Shaila Francisco, we are One News.
For more updates, visit News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. Masks on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. I am Sean Yao. We are One News.